Alrighty, good morning everybody. It is Monday, July 24th, 2023. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. We have a lot to talk about today, so want to do a quick review of what happened here on Friday. Pretty proud of what we talked about in our pre-market. So remember, we came into the open on Friday of last week and we were testing right into the 618 retracement, and I warned you guys that we had a really clear potential bearish divergence forming from that high, and so it was a pretty nice little area that would make sense for a pullback. We had the hourly, the 4-hour at the time, which after I came back later, it looks like the signal changed after the candle closed, but at the time the 4-hour was showing some bearishness up there, the hourly was showing bearishness, and again it was right in a critical area that we wanted to see hold. And remember, coming out of the daily, we had that bearish divergence from the high of a couple days earlier, and we had that really red candle the day before Friday, right? So Thursday's candle was super red, and then we were coming in onto that Friday morning. So everything was kind of setting up for what would make sense for a pullback from that high. So let's take a look at the details and then we'll get into this morning. So if we go back, and hope I didn't just lose my place here, but here we are, and you can see that vertical line there was the New York Open down right around here. And as we were doing our pre-market, we kept talking about how we were rejecting right off that 618 retrace. So the pullback made sense. Let's take a look at what happened here on Friday. So we continued to sell off. We held 50% of the day before there, and VWAP, for all intents and purposes, it was all within a couple ticks for an attempt to bounce out. And we got this little double top a couple minutes after the open, and shortly after that went ahead and broke right down below VWAP, right? We got some nice parries here around the FMA, around VWAP, and about 50% of the day before. Came down, parried off the Holy Orange power level, and then got down below it and held it within a couple ticks here to come down and bounce off our scaffolding. And then we talked about this scenario as well, seeing the close down here around 45.66. Being that we had so many levels close together, I told you it might be a little bit tough to call the best level that would make the most sense for the largest rotation, but the close was sitting down there, and that was definitely a good area. And sure enough, they peaked down below by, I think it was exactly 2 points on the first test, and then just a couple ticks on the second test, and kind of petered out and continued to sell off going into the end of the day there. So there were some really nice holds right off some of our levels, and as you can see, once we tested the 618, that was it for the bulls, right? The bears came back in. It was pretty sideways throughout the middle part of the session, and then the end of the day, they continued to bring it lower and close at what was lows for the last couple days. So that brings us into this morning, and I actually forget to mention that we came down and finally got below the scaffolding here. So on Friday we held the scaffolding and then got down below and then used it essentially as a pretty strong resistance there going into the end of the day. And the close as well, parrying back and forth between the close and the scaffolding here until it rejected off the 200 and came down to close. So let's go into this morning now. Really beautiful textbook pullback to the VWAP here for a bounce this morning. Nice 50% retrace, bounce nearly to the tick. And it just so happens this morning that our leg up for the overnight session has a 50% retrace again, right where we made our turn here a couple minutes ago. And that's also exactly the 50% retrace of last week. So if you look at this dash dot dot magenta line, you can see on the chart here, I don't know what's going on. I think we have a couple things sitting there. Hold on, let me try something here. Visible. Okay, so it turns out that The holy orange power level coming into today is 50% of last week. It's the same exact price to the tick. So that's why it looks a little messy. So nice pullback right to 50% of last week, and the holy orange power level here, and the VWAP in the pre-market for a bounce. I actually got a nice 5-point trade out of that this morning as I was doing my pre-market, right, getting ready for this broadcast. We'll see if we get the follow through now to see if this actually breaks out to the upside. So a nice easy trade for me this morning. Again, nearly, it was to the tick off VWAP and just a tick below the holy orange power level there. So let's go up to our higher time frames and take a look at what we have here for this morning.